really been in the league that long. I mean, what, 4 years?
This is the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, but he's been in the league for about 4 years, and I've seen him do a lot. He is definitely one of the most talented, but the most explosive quarterback. He hasn't really had the best quarterback to throw to him. Where I don't think I've seen him do as much as he can. So that's why I gave him number 5 for now. But I think years to come, keep Matt Stafford healthy, keep the Lions consistent. They'll start having more and more success, and eventually be number 1. Okay, my number 4 is Wes Welker. Just because if you watched him play, I'm probably one of the few people that actually watched him play in Miami. He was their leading receiver there. He was pretty good.
No, he
And
wasn't.
then, yeah, he was.
He
He
never
was.
caught like more than like 20 balls a year.
No, I mean his last year there, he was
He
their
still
leading
never
receiver.
did. Like the only thing they had him actually do was kick. He actually kicked extra points. He didn't do anything at Miami.
But his last year, he did. That's why. And then the Patriots, because I kept up with NFL Network more than ever that year, and then he went to the Patriots, and he was just a great target for Tom Brady. Always has been. He's that one guy that Tom Brady can always rely on. So that's why I gave him number 4. And my number 3, I gave Deshaun Jackson, and that is because he's just probably the most explosive guy in the NFL right now, just athlete overall. You give him any quarterback, I think he'll still be doing what he's doing now. And my number 2, I didn't know if I'd put him at number 1 or number 2, but I gave that to Andre Johnson just because of how much of a beast he is, like you said, Joseph. He can go up and catch some big balls. And anyways, so I gave him number 4, and my number 1 is Larry Fitzgerald. And honestly, he's just one of the most spectacular receivers I've ever seen play. I just love watching. I love watching Larry Fitzgerald play, and it is a dang shame that he does not have a quarterback to throw to him, and he didn't have a good one last year. Because I just love watching. I just look forward to watching Larry Fitzgerald play. So that's my top 5 receivers.
One thing I didn't like, what I don't like about Deshaun Jackson is he doesn't put up very big numbers, and he's basically only a deep threat. Like the only thing he actually has in his arsenal is beating somebody deep. He's not the
Yeah,
best
I mean,
route runner. He's not
I
the best.
completely agree with you, but you know, he isn't the best. But I think you can put any quarterback with him, and he'll still be doing what he's doing. That's why I gave him number 3.
All right, let's hear your list, Chase.
Okay, well, when I made my list, I took into consideration this year, who's gonna make big, big noise this year,
Yes, thank
and
you.
so that's why my list is a little different than y'all's. So I'm gonna start off at number 5 with Miles Austin because I believe that Miles Austin, I mean, at this point, is the 5th best receiver in the league. He's not like an Andre Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald type player, but if you look his first year that he was a starter, he was in the Pro Bowl, and he's consistent. I mean, he made the Pro Bowl last year. He's a consistent target for Romo or whenever Romo's hurt, whoever else is in there. And Miles Austin to me is just he's got a bright future because he was one of those players that was never really. I mean, I know as a Cowboys fan, I never expected Miles Austin to do anything. I
Yeah,
don't think
me
anybody,
either.
I don't
I
think
remember when he
anybody,
came out in the Chiefs game too, about 2 years ago.
yeah, what did he have like 215 yards or something crazy like that?
215 catches, God.
Yeah, it's crazy. But number 4, I went with Deshaun Jackson. I have him on my list. I don't have him in the top 3, but I do have Deshaun Jackson up there because he's a playmaker and he's an exciting player to watch. Not to mention, I called him coming out of college. Not gonna lie, I did that.
You called him?
I called him being a big
He
time
did.
deal. Yeah.
He
Oh,
did.
I thought you were
Heard
talking about
all.
like I
I
called
meant
him on
like
the
phone.
phone.
Yeah, I called him and talked to him. No, no, no. I called Cal. I mean, you know what's crazy is how I always mention that I call this kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
you guys are always like, "Well, yeah, you did do that." Yeah, called Sean Jackson. And it doesn't matter who's throwing to him. I still think he's going to be able to do well, but he's not better than my number 3, Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson is an absolute monster, and he he's playing for a team that's been just atrocious the past few years. But you're right, Joseph. He's putting up 1,500 yards like a year. I mean, stuff in that area, in that range, and he's one of those guys that isn't going to be beat whenever. I mean, you're going to have a guy like Revis or Osimo on
Not
him.
even.
Maybe not even those guys. You're right. He's just an exciting and outstanding player, and he's one of those guys that if the rest of the team doesn't get better soon, I can see him being the kind of guy that wants to leave Detroit.
Yeah.
Because he's too good of a player to not be on a good team. Is what I think. Kind of like the Steven Jackson argument. How he wasted like the best years in St. Louis.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Yeah. Number 2, Larry Fitzgerald, because he's Larry Fitzgerald. Nobody can ever, nobody's ever performed in the playoffs like he has. I mean, wide receiver. What am I trying to say here? He broke records that Jerry Rice set in the playoffs.
Santonio Holmes is pretty good in the playoffs too.
Yeah, Santonio Holmes is good in the playoffs. But I go Larry Fitzgerald because of the amazing acrobatic catches he can make. He can make any play. Like those. Whenever like the quarterback just lobs it up, and you're just like, "Oh, that's not going anywhere." Well, Larry Fitzgerald can make that catch, and I think he's
That's
one of the most.
I love Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
One of the most premier players in the league. I even heard a guy I used to work with called him the Michael Jordan of football a few years ago. I was like, oh, just because of the crazy stuff he can do.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, not like greatness wise, but And then I say Andre Johnson number 1 because he's the best receiver in the league. He's huge. He's he's an absolute beast. He's in a good offense. For him, he's got a decent quarterback in Schaub, and he can always make things happen. And not to mention he beat up Cortland Finnegan, so everybody a favor.
You missed that too. I remember texting you about it. You're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh my god, you have to go see this."
Yeah, I didn't believe it actually happened.
The Miles Austin thing, that one's I don't like that one because he's going to get overshadowed by Des Bryant this next year.
You really think so?
I do think so because I think that they're going to give him, what am I trying to say? They're going to give him more of the offense just because of his potential. They want to see what he can do, and I think he will get overshadowed by Des Bryant. So, but that's just me. That's what I honestly believe they're going to do.
That situation's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, they've got a great core of receivers over there, so we'll see what they do.
Great.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot of football today because there's nothing else to talk about, and I'm surprised that there even is football to talk about if you think about it. Got really, we've got lockouts still going on. Lockouts hopefully ending soon if you talk about the NFL. But all we have to do is, keep on being fans. So, Tanner, we'd like to thank you for being on the show today. And whoever you are, wherever you are, thank you for making us part of your night. You've been listening to The Score.